Have you ever been driving on the highway and suddenly found yourself behind a brand new pickup truck that costs more than many houses? The kind of vehicle with gleaming paint, oversized tires. The seats are wrapped in premium leather, polished dashboard, and the price tag of $70,000. What makes the situation even more confusing is the realization that the person driving it likely earns a very ordinary income, possibly even less than you do. This raises an uncomfortable question that many people think about but rarely ask out loud. How are average households affording vehicles with payments that appear mathematically impossible? How can someone complain about grocery prices, rent increases, and utility bills, yet pull this into their driveway? My name is Pete Profit, and I spend time studying behavior that quietly shape our financial decisions. If you have ever wondered how modern car payments reached this point, or why so many people feel trapped by them, this discussion will help explain what is actually happening beneath the surface. If you find this breakdown useful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and show support the content. Before examining how these payments are structured, it is important to understand the scale of the issue. Modern vehicle pricing and financing have entered territory that would have seemed absurd only a decade ago. Today, the average new car payment in the United States has surpassed $700 per month. That figure does not apply only to luxury brands or high-performance vehicles. It represents the average payment for a standard new vehicle purchased by a typical buyer. When trucks and large sport utility vehicles enter the picture, the numbers escalate quickly. Monthly payments exceeding $900 are now common. Payments above $1,000 per month are no longer unusual, especially when loans stretch 10+ years. Over the full life of these loans, total payments often exceed $80,000, and that figure excludes insurance, fuel, maintenance, and repairs. It is natural to assume that this shift must be supported by dramatic income growth. Many people believe wages have increased enough to justify these costs. Unfortunately, that assumption does not align with reality. While household incomes have risen modestly, they have not increased enough for these payments to be sustainable. The gap between income growth and vehicle costs continues to widen. The explanation for how people manage these payments lies not in rising prosperity, but in a complex system designed to make unaffordable decisions feel manageable. This system reshapes how buyers perceive cost, risk, and time. Understanding how it works is not just an academic exercise. It can determine whether a single purchase quietly undermines financial stability for the next decade. The first major mechanism involves loan terms. There was a time when a car loan typically lasted 3 years or 4 at most. Those terms aligned reasonably well with depreciation and ownership cycles. Today, those loan lengths have largely disappeared. 8-year-plus auto loans are now routine. Some lenders even advertise 10-year vehicle loans, a concept that would have been considered extreme not long ago. The appeal of extended loan terms is straightforward. By spreading the cost of an expensive vehicle over more years, a truck that would require a $1,500 monthly payment over 4 years suddenly appears manageable at $900 over 8 years. Buyers focus almost entirely on the monthly figure, because that is the number presented repeatedly in the dealership. What often goes unnoticed is the long-term cost of this structure. Extending the loan does not reduce the price of the vehicle. It increases it. Interest accumulates for years longer than necessary, raising the total amount paid dramatically. That same truck financed over 8 years may cost $14,000 more than it would over 4 years. Even more problematic is the relationship between loan length and depreciation. Vehicles lose value quickly, especially in the early years of ownership. By the 5th or 6th year of an extended loan, many borrowers owe far more than the vehicle is worth. This condition, known as negative equity, restricts flexibility. Selling or trading the vehicle requires additional cash just to escape the loan. Extended terms are only the first layer. Promotional financing represents another powerful influence. 0% interest offers dominate advertising and appear to remove the cost of borrowing entirely. While these promotions sound attractive, they are rarely as generous as they seem. The cost of financing is often embedded in the purchase price, eliminating discounts that might otherwise be available. Additionally, these offers usually require excellent credit and often apply only to shorter loan terms. The buyers who qualify are typically those least dependent on financing in the first place. For everyone else, interest rates on extended loans can be substantial, compounding the total cost over time. Another critical mechanism involves trade-ins and negative equity. Many buyers finance vehicles over long terms, then grow dissatisfied after only a few years. When they attempt to upgrade, they discover the loan balance exceeds the vehicle's value. Instead of resolving the shortfall, they roll the remaining balance into a new loan on a more expensive vehicle. This process creates a compounding effect. Each transaction carries debt from previous vehicles forward, increasing loan balances while resetting depreciation. Over time, buyers find themselves paying for cars they no longer own. Dealers benefit greatly from this cycle, as it creates long-term dependency. Once trapped, escaping often requires thousands of dollars upfront, which many households do not have. What makes this situation more concerning is how normalized it has become. Monthly car payments that would once have triggered serious concern are now treated as routine. Spending $1,200 per month on transportation is rarely questioned, even though the same expense on almost any other category would be considered excessive. This normalization did not happen accidentally. It is the result of decades of marketing that reframed vehicles as extensions of identity rather than tools. Automakers no longer sell transportation. They sell narratives of success, strength, independence, and status. Advertising rarely emphasizes cost efficiency or longevity. Instead, it focuses on how the vehicle makes the driver feel and how others perceive them. This emotional framing makes it easier to justify decisions that would otherwise appear irrational. When the purchase feels like an investment in identity rather than a financial obligation, scrutiny fades. Monthly payments become secondary to the emotional reward of ownership. As this system becomes clearer, the next question emerges. How do households actually fit these payments into their budgets? That question leads directly into the deeper sacrifices many people make, often without fully recognizing the long-term consequences. To understand how large vehicle payments are sustained, we look beyond the dealership and into household budgets. In many cases, the vehicle payment becomes the central financial priority around which everything else is adjusted. Instead of fitting transportation into an existing budget, people restructure their lives to support the vehicle. Some individuals move into smaller apartments, delay purchasing a home, or continue living with roommates far longer than planned. Others sacrifice travel, entertainment, and dining, allocating a share of their income to a depreciating asset. In extreme cases, transportation consumes 25 to 30% of take-home pay. This level of concentration would raise alarms in almost any other financial category. Some households take on additional work specifically to support vehicle costs. Weekend delivery driving, rideshare work, and overtime hours are used to generate income that largely flows back into maintaining the vehicle itself. The car becomes both the expense and the tool required to pay for that expense, creating a closed loop of dependency. More concerning strategies involve pulling resources from the future. Retirement accounts are tapped for down payments. Loans are taken against long-term savings. The immediate benefit is visible, but the opportunity cost remains hidden. Small withdrawals today can represent thousands of dollars in lost future growth. Insurance premiums, maintenance, fuel, and repairs are charged to revolving credit so that cash can remain available for the loan payment. This substitution replaces one form of debt with another, often at far higher interest rates. Over time, the supporting debt can exceed the original vehicle cost. In some cases, people turn to personal loans or even home equity borrowing to manage down payments or negative equity. Using appreciating assets to fund depreciating ones reverses fundamental financial principles. Homes are typically long-term wealth builders. Vehicles are consumables. Blurring that distinction magnifies risk. This pattern becomes even more pronounced in households with multiple vehicles. Many families now carry 2 or 3 active car loans simultaneously. Combined payments can exceed housing costs, creating significant financial strain. Insurance premiums multiply, maintenance schedules overlap, and unexpected repairs compound unpredictability. Managing multiple loans creates the illusion of competence. Payments are made, due dates are tracked, and short-term stability is maintained. However, the underlying structure remains fragile. One income disruption or major repair can destabilize the entire system. Insurance costs alone are frequently underestimated. High-value vehicles require comprehensive coverage, collision protection, and often gap insurance. Premiums exceeding $200 per vehicle per month are common. For families with several financed vehicles, annual insurance expenses can reach thousands of dollars. Maintenance and repair costs add another layer. Modern vehicles contain complex electronics, advanced emission systems, and specialized components. Routine services cost more, and major failures can produce repair bills that rival used car prices. Without adequate emergency savings, these expenses often return people to credit. Fuel expenses quietly erode budgets as well. Large vehicles with low fuel efficiency magnify price fluctuations. For commuters, monthly fuel costs can rival older car payments, especially when gas prices rise. When all of these components are added together, the true cost of ownership becomes startling. A vehicle that seemed manageable at purchase later reveals as a financial drain that limits flexibility and increases stress. Yet, even when the math becomes obvious, many people remain emotionally attached to the vehicle. The idea of downsizing feels like personal failure rather than strategic adjustment. This attachment reinforces the cycle and discourages reevaluation. Understanding this dynamic sets the stage for examining the full financial impact in numerical terms. When the total cost of ownership is calculated honestly, the magnitude of the trade-off becomes difficult to ignore. To fully grasp the financial weight of modern vehicle ownership, it helps to walk through a realistic scenario using actual numbers. Consider a buyer who purchases a $55,000 truck using a 7-year loan at a moderate interest rate. The monthly payment lands around $800, which feels acceptable compared to a much higher payment under a shorter term. Over 7 years, that buyer pays roughly $67,000 for the vehicle alone. Insurance at $250 per month adds another $21,000. Fuel expenses averaging $350 per month contribute nearly $30,000 more. Maintenance and repairs over that period easily exceed $15,000. By the end of 7 years, total transportation spending surpasses $130,000. The remaining vehicle value may be $15,000 if condition and market conditions cooperate. Redirecting even a portion of those monthly payments toward long-term investments would produce meaningful asset growth. Instead, the funds are consumed by depreciation, interest, and operating costs. Despite this reality, emotional attachment often overrides analysis. Vehicles become symbols of effort, reward, and identity. Criticism feels personal. Suggestions to downgrade feel dismissive. This emotional framing makes rational comparison difficult. The automotive industry understands this deeply. Sales processes are designed to minimize discussion of total cost and maximize focus on monthly payments. Every objection has a ready-made solution that extends debt rather than reducing it. Once trapped, many people rationalize the situation by pointing to reliability, safety, or enjoyment. While these factors matter, they rarely justify the scale of the financial trade-off involved. The reality is that many people are not truly affording their vehicles. They are postponing the consequences through longer terms. The cost is paid gradually, quietly, and often invisibly through delayed goals and increased stress. The next time you see an expensive vehicle on the road, it may represent success. It may also represent financial strain hidden behind polished paint. Understanding the system does not require rejecting modern vehicles entirely. It requires recognizing how easily affordability can be manufactured through structure rather than substance. If this explanation helped clarify how the modern car payment trap works, support the channel by subscribing and sharing the video. Understanding these systems is the first step toward making more deliberate financial decisions in a world designed to push the opposite. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.